Hey everyone, this is Ken from PopCultureJunkies here with the best books that you should buy this week. First on the list is Berserker. This is Keanu Reeves' book with Boom. It's on issue 4. This is one of the foil variant covers. Both the A and B covers had foil variants. I believe they're also the same price. Yep, $4.99, just like your basic cover. Why not upgrade? It's a great story. Has had some issues with distribution and coming out on time, but totally worth it. It has been optioned for a movie. The one issue with looking at investing in this book, there's been hundreds of thousands of copies printed of it, so there's a lot of them out there. I believe it was optioned before it even hit the stands though, which isn't surprising seeing as you got Keanu Reeves, a guy with guns, who that kind of writes itself, right? Next on the list, Something is Killing the Children. If you haven't gotten on this book yet, I don't know why not. This is probably the best book coming out today. I think we're probably going to do a feature on this in the future. Issue 18 delves a little bit more into the history of Erica Slaughter and her beginnings in the House of Slaughter. It's really interesting where they're going with the story. I can't wait to see it. It's going to be great to see it on film when Netflix comes out with the series. Next we got Department of Truth. I actually have the A and the B cover here. My hold slot, I pick up all covers on Department of Truth all the time. I actually do the same with Something is Killing the Children. They had some damages at the shop this week, so I won't get that until they get their replacements in. But Department of Truth, also James Tynion. Tynion's Eisner Award winning, you can see he's nominated here. By the time this book came out, he already won. That's probably the two best series out between Department of Truth and Something is Killing the Children, and the third best series in Batman. I think the only other person writing anywhere close to this level is Kate's a little bit behind, and Al Ewing with Immortal Hulk. We'll talk more about that in a few weeks when that book drops. It's getting close to the second issue. But Department of Truth, if you haven't read it, very similar to X-Files. You can see on this one there's a big Sasquatch, and that's what the storyline's dealing with in this issue. Tynion plays a lot with the layouts in this book, just FYI. There's a lot of reading through the layout in the book. It's not just reading the bubbles in the frames. It's a great way to experiment with the art in comic books. Next, we've got Sweet Paprika. This is a new book from Image. This is the Art Germ version of this book. It's got about 4 or 5 covers. I think this Virgin Art Germ cover was actually the same price as the regular covers, and that's why I picked this one. We'll do a whole other episode on Art Germ. I've got a stack of them. Eventually I'll get them graded. They're just far down the line as far as grading goes. This book is rated M for mature. It is M for mature. We'll see where it goes. It's an interesting story. This is issue 1. It was kind of recommended by the shop owner. I'll see after issue 2 if I continue to pick it up or not, but I would recommend picking up issue 1 right now. I do think it's worth it. Next we have Black Widow. Black Widow I also picked up both covers on. I pick up anything Adam Hughes, so I got the A cover. This one's always in my box. B covers this month for Marvel. There were a lot of Captain America covers. There was a great Miles Morales Spider-Man one. I think I can see if I can dig it up for you in a second. This Black Widow one by Mark Bricks though, I love the Red Guardian aesthetic on here versus the Captain America aesthetic that most of the other books have. Not just because I love Red Guardian, but just because it's Natasha and it's more appropriate that it's more of a Red Guardian aesthetic than Captain America. And Brooks' art is a lot of times he's got a little more of a still pose, and this is a very dynamic picture. I really like what he did here with her throwing the shield on there. I like the boots and the straps underneath and the widow symbols on the bottom. I think he put a lot of great details into this cover, the small parts of it. And Adam's always Adam. I buy pretty much everything he's done. He's got a Pop Kill book I've got to get that Jimmy Palmiotti did. It's going for right around $400 on eBay right now because I was not there for the Kickstarter, unfortunately. The story in Black Widow actually has been great. Starts off with Natasha Hawkeye's looking for her, tracks her down, finds her with a husband and kid, and she doesn't remember anything about her life, and it kind of goes from there. You can see Yelena shows up eventually. It's a really, really good book right now. I really like what Thompson's doing in here. It's pretty fantastic. Amazing Fantasy #1. This is #1 of 5. Carrie Andrews is putting out this book. You don't see any other artist credit on this. I would flip through it, but I don't want to spoil it, but it probably goes through 5 different art styles in 5 different stories in here, and it's amazing to see him switch between them all. One of the stories is very similar artwork to the cover, and then if you see any of the B, C, and D covers, those variants are done in the other art styles that are in this book. I'm not sure where the story's going, but these are the kind of limited series where a random character pops up in a random timeline, and 5 years later they're huge, and if you've got the book sitting in your collection, all of a sudden you've got something really valuable. It's very similar to the Vengeance miniseries, right, that debuted America Chavez, among others. So far a pretty good read. Again, interesting to see where it'll go. It's kind of like a forming of a team of people pulled out of time, it seems like, and I'm interested to see what Andrews is doing in here. He convinced Marvel to let him do it, and now I want to see where it goes and what he's able to put together with it. Second to last, we have Daredevil. Zdarsky's Daredevil is off the charts great. I know I talked about Cates and Ewing and Tinian, and they're all up in that tier. Zdarsky's Daredevil is there also. Again, I'm a bit biased. I'm a huge Daredevil fan, huge Daredevil fanatic. This book has been so good the entire run, and ever since issue 25, where Matt goes to prison for manslaughter, Elektra takes over the mantle of Daredevil and has to live up to the standards that Matt did versus her old standards as an assassin. It's been a fantastic book. In the storyline now, they're getting to the rematch of Bullseye and this version of Elektra, and I can't wait to see what Zdarsky's doing here. I'm not sure how he's going to finish this storyline, but where it's at now, just off the charts great. This Momoko cover, side note, there's a ton of Momoko covers, so for those of us collecting Momoko covers, this week was a pretty big week. For those of you collecting the Marvel covers, and there was also a Momoko Sweet Paprika cover. I may see if I can dig that up for you here also. I think there were 5 or 6 Marvel Momokos, but then you have the A cover on Daredevil, and all of these have been great since the series started, but the last few since 25 have just been fantastic. There's one coming out in a couple weeks where it looks like it's Matt in fire, and it looks like the fire's framing the horns on his face. It looks fantastic. But even better, the story in here, really, really good. Probably second best Marvel story going right now. This one's a quick hit, just one more thing for those that didn't jump on Moon Knight. Moon Knight actually came out last week. It's a really good story with Mark Spector setting up shop as a protector of all the travelers of the night. If you're not familiar with the Moon Knight, there's a large question of whether he has multiple personality disorder or if he's actually talking to a god, or a little bit of both. If you want to get set up for this run, I would definitely read the Ellis run. The Ellis run was fantastic. You can get it collected in a trade. Well worth the money, and I believe it's still in print, so it shouldn't be too expensive. This current run just rebooted. Moon Knight series unfortunately don't tend to last much longer than issue 30, so we'll see how long this one's going to make it. I think it's got a really good take on the character right now though, and I'm interested to see where the storyline goes. Particularly, the Moon Knight's always been kind of a patron warrior for an Egyptian god, and in the last Avengers series, that god actually tried to take over New York. The Moon Knight had to use the Phoenix Force to lock the god away in Asgard, but is still working in his name on his behalf in New York now as the patron saint of all travelers at night. It's typically been more of a Vengeance of the Night kind of character, so this is a little bit of a departure, but still very similar. So I'm really interested to see where it goes. Love this B cover. There's a great variant out there. and this is the Miles Morales Spider-Man. Really like this cover. I think the one thing that kind of strikes me about it is he looks like an adult Spider-Man versus your typical Miles. And I'm not sure if that's just the perspective or the way I'm reading into it or what. Really like the character design though. Haven't liked a lot of the Cap covers outside Spider-Man and Black Widow, but I really did like this one. I don't even buy this book anymore, but I did buy it just because I really like this Miles Morales cover. So those are my picks for the week. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll see what's coming out next Tuesday and Wednesday.